Every single morning you walk into that bathroom, and the moment you run your fingers through your hair, you already know. You can feel it. Less hair than yesterday. And you look down at that shower drain, or that brush, and your heart sinks just a little bit more. Maybe you've started styling your hair differently to hide what's happening. Maybe you've stopped wearing it the way you used to love, and somewhere deep inside, a quiet fear is growing that whispers, "Is this just who I am now?" I want you to stop right there, because that fear, it's lying to you. What you are experiencing is not simply age, it is not your destiny, and it is absolutely not something you just have to accept and move on from. What's happening to your hair has real, specific biological causes that most people have never been told about. And today I am going to walk you through every single one of them, and more importantly, I am going to show you exactly what you can do to start reversing this. But before we dive in, I need to ask you a quick favor. If this video is already speaking to your experience, take just 1 second right now and hit that like button. You have no idea how many other women and men over 50 are searching for exactly this information, and your like helps them find it. And drop your age and where you're from in the comments below. I genuinely read them, and this community we're building here matters. Now, let's get into it. We are going to count down the 5 biggest reasons your hair is thinning and falling, and we are going to start at number 5 and work our way down to the number 1 root cause that, once you understand it and address it, changes everything. By the time we get to number 1, I think you are going to have one of those moments where everything suddenly clicks into place. So stay with me the entire way through, because each piece builds on the last. Coming in at number 5, and this is one that surprises almost everyone when they first hear it. It is how you are actually treating your scalp and your hair on a daily basis without realizing the damage you are causing. Now I know what you're thinking. You've been washing your hair your whole life. How could that be causing a problem now? And that's exactly the right question to ask, because the answer has everything to do with what happens to our scalp as we get older, especially after 50. Think of your scalp like the soil in a garden. When that soil is healthy and well-balanced, flowers and plants grow strong and thick with deep roots. But when the soil gets overwatered, stripped of its natural nutrients, or thrown off balance with harsh chemicals, even the healthiest seeds struggle to take root. Your hair follicles are those seeds, and your scalp is the soil they depend on completely. Here's what research has found that most people don't know. Washing your hair every single day with conventional shampoos strips away the natural protective oils your scalp produces. These oils, think of them as your scalp's personal security team, do 2 critical jobs. First, they keep moisture locked in so follicles stay healthy and flexible. Second, they protect your scalp from a type of inflammation that actually attacks your hair roots over time. Without those oils, your scalp becomes dry, irritated, and inflamed follicles stop producing strong hair. They start producing thinner, weaker strands, and then they stop producing hair at all. I've talked to so many women who had no idea this was happening to them. One woman shared how she washed her hair every single morning for decades. It was just her routine. But when she finally switched to washing twice a week instead of daily, and started using a sulfate-free shampoo without harsh detergents, she noticed something remarkable. Within 3 weeks, the shedding on her brush noticeably decreased. Within 2 months, she could feel baby hairs along her hairline that hadn't been there in years. Same person, same genetics, different approach. Here's your fix for number 5. Pull back your washing to 2 or 3 times per week. Choose shampoos that do not contain sulfates, formaldehyde, or DMDM hydantoin. These are ingredients that research has shown can further irritate the scalp and worsen shedding. And when you do wash, spend about 3 to 4 minutes massaging your scalp gently with your fingertips while the shampoo is in. Not scratching, massaging. That gentle pressure increases blood flow to your follicles. Medical research has actually shown that consistent scalp massage, just 4 minutes daily, can lead to measurable increases in hair thickness over time. It's free, it takes less than 5 minutes, and it works. Start there today. But as helpful as number 5 is, Number 4 is where things start getting really serious for most people over 50. And this one is one that your doctor might not bring up unless you specifically ask. Number 4 is protein deficiency. And I mean the kind that's happening slowly and silently inside your body without you feeling a single obvious symptom until you start losing your hair. Here is something fundamental that most people don't fully appreciate. Your hair is almost entirely made of a protein called keratin. Think of keratin as the actual bricks that your hair strands are built from. Every single strand on your head from root to tip is constructed out of protein that your body manufactures from the food you eat. Now, when your body doesn't have enough protein coming in from your diet, it has to make some very difficult choices about where to send what little protein it does have. And here's the hard truth. Your body does not consider your hair essential for survival. So it sends protein first to your muscles, your organs, your immune system, and it cuts off the supply to your hair follicles almost entirely. This is called protein deficiency hair loss, and medical research has shown it is far more common in people over 50 than most realize. Why over 50 specifically? Because as we age, our bodies become less efficient at absorbing and utilizing the protein we eat. You could be eating what feels like a normal diet and still be functionally protein deficient at the follicle level. On top of that, many people over 50 actually reduce their meat and animal product intake for health reasons, which is perfectly valid, but without consciously replacing that protein through other sources, the deficiency quietly worsens. Studies have found that adults over 50 need significantly more protein per day than younger people, not less as many assume. Hair transplant specialists and nutritional researchers consistently recommend at least 1.2 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight every single day just to maintain hair health. For a 150-pound person, that's roughly 82 grams of protein per day. Most people over 50 are getting maybe half of that without realizing it. I've heard from many people who started adding a high-quality protein powder to their daily routine, specifically ones that contain marine collagen or whey protein with amino acids like lysine and cysteine, which are the actual building blocks of keratin, and the difference was significant. One man in his late 50s shared that he had assumed his hair loss was simply genetic and permanent. He started adding 1 scoop of marine collagen protein to his morning coffee every day. At the 4-month mark, his wife pointed out that his hairline looked different, fuller. He dismissed it at first. By month 6, even his barber mentioned it. The only thing he had changed was that single daily habit. The fix for number 4 is to honestly audit your protein intake. Add eggs, legumes, fish, and Greek yogurt throughout your day. And if you're struggling to hit your daily target through food alone, a clean protein powder, specifically one with marine collagen, biotin, and the amino acids methionine, lysine, and cysteine can genuinely bridge that gap in a way that directly feeds your hair follicles. Look for ones without artificial sweeteners or excessive fillers. Just 1 serving mixed into a smoothie or your morning drink is enough to start making a real difference. Now here's where I want you to really stay with me, because number 3 connects to number 4 in a way that most people don't realize. And this connection might explain why you can eat all the protein in the world and still keep losing hair. Number 3 is hidden micronutrient deficiencies, specifically iron, zinc, and vitamin D. And the reason this connects to your protein intake is this: your body cannot actually use the protein you eat to build hair without these 3 nutrients acting as the tools that make it happen. Imagine trying to build a house with all the bricks you could ever need, but no cement, no nails, and no hammer. That is what happens to your hair building process when you are low in iron, zinc, or vitamin D. Iron is the oxygen delivery system for your body. It carries oxygen through your bloodstream to every single cell, including the cells inside your hair follicles. Without enough oxygen, follicle cells cannot produce energy, they cannot grow, and hair strands become thin and fragile before they eventually stop growing altogether. Medical research has established a very strong link between iron deficiency anemia and diffuse hair thinning, especially in women, and women over 50 are at surprisingly high risk because of how iron absorption changes after menopause. Zinc is the repair mineral. Think of it as the maintenance crew for your hair follicles. It helps build hair tissue. It keeps the oil glands around follicles working properly, and it plays a critical role in protein synthesis, which means without enough zinc, your body cannot turn that dietary protein into actual keratin for your hair. Studies have consistently found that people with hair loss have lower zinc levels than those without. And zinc deficiency is extremely common in the over 50 population because stomach acid production decreases with age, and zinc requires adequate stomach acid to be properly absorbed. Vitamin D is perhaps the most overlooked of all three. Doctors often call it the sunshine vitamin, but what they don't always emphasize is that it is absolutely essential for your hair growth cycle. Here's how the hair cycle works in simple terms. Each of your hair follicles goes through 3 phases: a growing phase where it actively produces hair, a transition phase, and then a resting phase where no hair is produced. Think of it like a crop of wheat. The growing phase is the growing season. The resting phase is winter. Normally, your follicles cycle through these phases in a controlled way, with most hairs in the growing phase at any given time. When vitamin D levels are low, research has shown that more and more follicles get stuck in that resting phase winter mode and stay there. The result is widespread thinning all over the scalp. European research has found that vitamin D deficiency is alarmingly common, affecting well over 50% of adults over 50, particularly in Northern Europe and in Northern American states where sun exposure is limited for many months of the year. Many people in these regions are deficient and have no idea. Getting your iron, zinc, and vitamin D levels checked with a simple blood test is one of the most valuable things you can do for your hair right now. Most doctors will do this if you ask. And if you are deficient in any of these, correcting that deficiency can lead to very noticeable hair regrowth, sometimes within 3 to 6 months of consistent supplementation. But stay with me, because as important as number 3 is, what comes next? At number 2 is the one thing that most people, including many who've watched dozens of hair loss videos, have never been told. And for anyone over 50 in America or Europe, this is critical. Number 2 is the blood sugar and insulin connection to hair loss. And this is one of those things where most doctors won't bring it up unless you're already diagnosed with diabetes. But the damage can be happening to your hair follicles long before any diagnosis is ever made. Here is what's actually happening inside your body. When your blood sugar is consistently elevated, even if it's not high enough to be called diabetic yet, it begins to damage the tiny blood vessels throughout your body. Think of these tiny vessels like the irrigation channels in that garden we talked about earlier. They are the ones that run directly to your scalp and deliver the nutrients and oxygen that every single hair follicle depends on to grow. When these vessels get damaged by high blood sugar, they narrow and harden. The flow slows down. Your follicles start getting less of what they need. First, the hair grows back thinner and weaker. Then it stops growing back at all. But that's only half the story. Medical research has revealed an even more direct mechanism through insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is when your body's cells stop listening properly to insulin, the hormone that manages your blood sugar. Think of insulin as a delivery driver trying to drop off packages at people's houses. Insulin resistance is like every house on the street refusing to open the door, so the driver just keeps driving around and around with packages piling up in the truck. Your pancreas responds by pumping out more and more insulin, trying to force the delivery. And here's where your hair gets directly hurt. Those chronically elevated insulin levels trigger an increase in a hormone called DHT, dihydrotestosterone. Think of DHT as a weed killer that your body accidentally starts spraying on your hair follicles. It literally shrinks them. Over time, follicles that have been miniaturized by DHT produce thinner and thinner hairs until they produce nothing at all. Research published in medical journals has found that people with insulin resistance are significantly more likely to experience patterned hair loss, the kind that thins at the crown and the temples, regardless of their age. And with estimates suggesting that over 50% of Americans over 50 have some degree of insulin resistance, even without a diabetes diagnosis, this is affecting far more people's hair than anyone is currently connecting the dots on. Many people who've been struggling with hair loss for years have shared that once they started actively managing their blood sugar through dietary changes, specifically reducing refined sugars, white bread, and processed carbohydrates, and adding more fiber-rich vegetables, healthy fats, and lean proteins, they began to see hair changes they hadn't seen from any product or supplement alone. Not overnight. This takes months, but the regrowth was real. And now we have arrived at number one, the big one, the foundation that once you address it makes everything else start working better. Because I've saved this for last, not because it's complicated, it's actually surprisingly simple, but because understanding it reframes everything we've talked about so far. This is it. This is the one that connects every single point in this video. Number one is chronic, low-grade inflammation in your body. And I know that sounds like a phrase you've heard before without it meaning very much. So let me make it real for you in terms you can actually feel and see. Inflammation is your body's natural alarm system. Think of it like a smoke detector in your house. When something is actually wrong, the alarm goes off, your immune system rushes in to fix it, and then the alarm turns off again. That's healthy, normal inflammation. But when that alarm never turns off, when it keeps beeping at a low level day after day, week after week, year after year, it starts causing damage to the very systems it was designed to protect. And your hair follicles are among the first casualties. Here's the devastating reality that recent medical research has made crystal clear. Everything on this list, protein deficiency, missing micronutrients, high blood sugar, insulin resistance, even scalp irritation from harsh shampoos, all of them trigger and worsen chronic inflammation in the body, and that inflammation directly attacks hair follicle stem cells. Think of follicle stem cells as the seed bank that your body uses to keep regrowing hair after each shedding cycle. Chronic inflammation damages this seed bank. It signals follicles to stay permanently in that resting phase we talked about earlier. It accelerates the miniaturization of follicles that DHT starts, and it breaks down the collagen that gives your scalp the structural support your follicles need to anchor themselves and grow strong. This is why some people eat the right foods and take the right supplements and see limited results, because underlying inflammation is still actively working against everything they're doing. Addressing inflammation is the master key that unlocks all the other solutions. And here's what makes this genuinely hopeful, rather than overwhelming. Because the very same strategies that address number 2, number 3, and number 4 also powerfully reduce this underlying inflammation. Managing blood sugar stabilizes the inflammatory response. Adequate protein and zinc give your immune system the raw materials to regulate inflammation properly. Vitamin D actively suppresses inflammatory signals throughout the body. And rosemary oil, which I mentioned briefly in number 5, has been shown in clinical research to reduce scalp inflammation and improve local circulation well enough to rival certain prescription hair treatments in terms of promoting regrowth when used consistently over 6 months. But the single most powerful anti-inflammatory habit you can build right now, the one that's going to make every other thing you do work better, is eliminating the foods that are driving chronic inflammation every single day. I've talked to so many people over 50 who were trying everything for their hair while still eating refined sugar, vegetable oils, and ultra-processed foods on a daily basis. Their bodies were in a constant state of low-grade emergency. One woman shared that she had spent over 2 years and significant money on hair products with barely any results. Then a friend convinced her to try a 30-day elimination of sugar and processed foods while adding anti-inflammatory foods like fatty fish, walnuts, olive oil, leafy greens, and berries. At the 3-month mark after starting, she said she stopped finding clumps of hair in the shower. At 5 months, she said she could actually see the thickness returning near her part. Her words were, "I spent so much money on my hair when the answer was in my grocery cart." That is the power of addressing inflammation at the root. So let me bring this all together for you because I want you to leave here today with a clear, manageable picture of where to start. You don't have to do everything at once. You don't have to overhaul your entire life tomorrow morning. Start with the easiest wins first. This week, cut your hair washing back to 2 or 3 times a week and spend 4 minutes massaging your scalp every night before bed. That costs you nothing and starts improving circulation immediately. Next, look at your protein intake honestly. Add 1 egg at breakfast, 1 serving of Greek yogurt or fish at lunch. If gaps remain, consider a clean marine collagen or whey protein supplement once daily. Ask your doctor to run a simple blood panel to check your iron, zinc, and vitamin D levels, because knowing where you actually stand takes the guesswork out of supplementing. And then start working on your blood sugar, not by going on a strict diet, but by simply reducing the foods that spike it the most. Less white bread, less sugar, less packaged snacks, more fiber, more healthy fats, more whole foods, and every single step you take in that direction, everyone, simultaneously fights the inflammation that is number 1 on this list. They all connect. They all reinforce each other. That is what makes this approach so powerful when you commit to it consistently over 3 to 6 months. Now, I want to be completely honest with you because you deserve that. You will not see dramatic results in 2 weeks. Anyone who promises that is not being truthful with you. Your hair grows approximately 1/2 inch per month on a good cycle. Healing and restoring follicles takes time. But 3 months from now, if you start today, you could be having a very different experience in that bathroom in the morning. Many people who've walked this path describe their 3-month mark as the turning point, where shedding visibly slows. 6 months in is often when the real regrowth becomes undeniable. You deserve to feel confident at every single age. You deserve to look in the mirror and recognize yourself. Don't let anyone, including that quiet voice in your own head, tell you that what you're experiencing is just something you have to accept. It's not. The information is here. The path is clear. The only thing left is to take the first step. If you found genuine value in this video today, please hit that like button right now. It genuinely helps other people over 50 find this information when they need it most. Share this with someone you know who is struggling with this same issue. They deserve to know this too. Drop your age and where you're watching from in the comments. And subscribe if you want more content like this because we have so much more to cover together. This is just the beginning of the conversation, and your best hair and your best years are still very much ahead of you.